Hello everyone, welcome to my channel today. I'm Kathleen with Be Again Books, and we're gonna get messy today. I promised you a video on shabby chic painting techniques and particularly crackle paint and smeared paint, plaster, all of the distressed painting techniques that help shabby be so shabby. And so I have actually 7 techniques that I want to show you. Torn paper, like torn wallpapers, crackle paint, sponging, splatter, antique, dry brush painting, and faux plaster, which is going to be texture paste. So that's what I want to start with. And I've got all this stuff here and we're ready to go. So let's get started. So this is kind of the effect that I'm looking for when I say torn paper. And we all do that. We know about it. But sometimes in old antique houses, you get like peeling wallpaper. And that's what we're going for. And the way you get that look is you take glue, and I'm going to do just a little bit of Elmer's Glue All. And I'm not sure, if you're not in the United States, I'm not sure what you could get that is similar, but the Glue All is an extra strong formula, which means that it's not going to wash out of clothes. So be sure you don't get the school glue or the glue that is, meant to wash out. You want this to be sturdy. And then I'm just going to kind of smear that a little bit. And then I'm going to turn it over and put it on this tea-dyed guest check. And I'm going to just kind of put it in the middle. And we're going to let that dry. And while that's drying for a minute, let's finish this one. So this has been glued on, and I've distressed the edges just a little. And now I'm just going to I'm going to distress this a little. Put some creases in and a couple of tears. Because the shabby look is really kind of, it's not quite like grungy. We'll cover grungy another day, but it is distressed. And one of the ways, it's very much like vintage, only with some glam in it. Vintage is always old-fashioned, but shabby chic is kind of a mixture of old-fashioned and up-to-date. Some bling associated with shabby chic. And sadly, those roses are going to get covered up, but that's kind of the way it goes. We're just going to put that. And this is a French label, which, as I said before, that's very shabby. And so I'm just going to try to rough up those edges. And then I just want to maybe glue another little piece of something. This could be another little bit of a long video. I will try to edit out things that are not important, like gluing and drying. Okay. Then let's put a topper on that. Like that. And just because I was telling you about shabby having some bling, let's put just a little bit of this colored diamante on here. That's very shabby. And the next technique is Crackle. Now, there are different mediums that you can buy called Crackle mediums that will cause this look, but I didn't use them with this. I just again used this Elmer's glue all, and it needs, I've only experimented with glue all, so I can't vouch for any other white glue, but this works. And the way you do it, so that, because the Crackle mediums are kind of pricey, and I don't use this technique very often, and so I don't want to buy the Crackle mediums. So I'm just going to use this glue all, and it's going to turn out like this, promise. Okay, I'm just going to put some on here. And then you're going to need a paintbrush to like paint it on. So please don't use your nice paintbrushes for this, because I don't think that's a good idea. So if you have an old foam brush or another kind of old paintbrush that you use for this kind of thing, that would be good. And you want to cover the card, but you don't want it to be too thick, nor do you want it to be too thin, because you kind of want a coverage that's going to be thick enough to make the crackles big enough. So I'm going to paint that on, and then you can just let that dry. Let me clean this glue off so that it doesn't get on the back, because I want this to be a journaling card, and so I don't want glue on the back. So we'll clean that off, and then I want to dry this. So you can leave it to dry, or you can dry it with, I'm just using my hair dryer. So you don't want it all the way dry, you just want it tacky. I hope you can see that there is shine, obviously, on that wet glue. And you want to just kind of take the biggest shine off. It still needs to be tacky. So you can see that the gloss is reduced a little bit. The edges kind of are starting to dry. It's still pretty wet. Let's go a little more. Okay, so now what you need to do is put the white top coat on it. To cover this. Okay, so now we'll just take that same brush and paint a layer over the top of it. Now we're going to try this. Can you see the crackles starting to form? Cool, huh? Let me lift it up. Yeah, it's like magic. Okay, so you can see the crackles, and I just think that's so cool. Of course, the Crackle mediums may work even better, I don't know. But you can see that having a dark undercoat is going to help those crackles show up the best. It doesn't show up quite as well on these lighter pink, right? And then obviously I need to trim off these corners. I don't want those fingerprints on there. And then I'm just going to take this kind of fancy corner punch and okay, so there's the Crackle technique. All right, Let's check that off. And we'll see if this is dry. Yeah, I think this is gonna work. Let's see if we can make this work. Okay, so you leave the corners, obviously, are not glued down. So you want to now kind of pull this up, pull it off, and hopefully it kind of leaves the wallpaper behind. I might just leave that a little bit there. There you go. I like the way that looks. And then, of course, you can come in and decorate that additionally with something. Yeah, let's use this from Cara Brandon's Shabby cluster kit. I'm going to distress it. Let's put a little washi tape on there. There we go. I like that. Okay, so that's the torn techniques. And there's the crackle techniques. Now, I'm going to show you how to do sponging. My mom taught me how to do this years ago. My mother she was an artist and a wonderful decorator. Yeah, we're going to use this one, and I'm going to take a really fine sandpaper and just kind of take the very top of that slick surface off so that I don't want to scratch it yet, but I just want the paint to stick, and sometimes these paint chips are really slick. Okay, so you need, in order to do this, you need a sea sponge, and they're really stiff, so you need to get it damp. I just run it under the bathroom sink, get it wet, and then I squeeze it, and then I take it to the bath towel and just squeeze it inside the bath towel, and that makes it just about right. And so I'm going to use 3 different colors. I'm going to use this pale pink. I'm going to put this just a little bit. And I'm going to use a kind of an off-white oatmeal, it says. And then I want to use this kind of dark green. All right, and I'm just going to use this area here and put some pink on, and then I'm just going to dab it. And you can see that I'm changing the direction of the sponge so that I don't get a repeated pattern. Okay, let me take this and dry it. Okay, and now I'm going to do that same thing with the darker green and just put some dabs. I use sponging all the time. My mom used to do a lot of painting of furniture and the cabinets in our house. Okay, let me take this and dry it. All right, and now we're gonna do that with the white. And the leaving the white to the end ends up kind of toning down the other colors. I really like that. I think it's pretty. Okay, so there's the sponging. And now we can use another of these, I think, I want this little image of pansies right in here. Okay, we'll put this on first. And then we'll take this. So you can glue some lined paper or some coffee dyed paper or something on the back, or you can do like I do and take sandpaper and sand that off. Right. So the next technique is splattering. And this is another thing I saw my mother do all the time when I was growing up. I have a special brush for this. It's a splatter brush. But you can use other just soft brushes, and what you want to do is decide what paint colors you'd like. And I think I'm going to use this lighter green. And I'm going to use this kind of medium pink. And I think I'll use a little bit of gold. We'll do that last. So I'm just going to thin this out a little with some water. The paint doesn't splatter well if it's too thick. And you might want to move or use a box or put up a shield some way so that you don't splatter paint everywhere. But now I'm just going to dip that in and then put just a little bit of splatter on top of there. And I can just use the same brush and put some pink. Let me dry this. Okay, so you can see there's just a little bit of distress now on top of this image. And we can, again, put another picture. If there's a little one that fits. Oh, I like that. I like this little image of some fruit. I think that I will round the corners on this one. Give it some distress again. Let's glue this on, and then we'll put just another little splatter of gold. Okay, let me kind of clean things up a little, and then that will take care of splatter. And we'll be back with some antiquing. Okay, so here's another little splattered tag that I wanted to finish. I forgot that I was going to do that with you, and so I just went ahead and did that quick. We'll let that clip hold the glue for a few minutes, and we'll go on to antiquing. Now, when I was young, holy cow, my mother, everything in her house was painted and antiqued, from frames and furniture and cabinets and boxes. There was a lot that was antiqued. And one of the other things that I want to show you along with antiquing is dry brush. And so I'm going to actually do that behind the die cut and just give just another little bit of texture to the card. So I'm just going to take a brush, a ratty brush, and it's uneven, the bristles are uneven, and I'm just going to get just a little bit of paint just enough to cover the tips, and then I'm just going to brush it like this. That's dry brushing. That just means that there's not very much paint on the brush, just the tips. And so we're just going to put a little bit of that behind here. And then we're going to glue this die cut down. This is one of those Tim Holtz die cuts. And put that on there and trim it on the side. Okay, the other thing we could do instead of dry brushing is some sanding, and that would create some grooves within the put some scratches that will catch the stain of the antique. Okay, and now we put this mat down again, because now what we're going to do is we're going to take, this is called a gel stain, and it's just kind of translucent, and it's going to wipe off. So I'm just going to put a little bit down there, and I'm actually going to thin that just a little bit more. And then we're going to take our old brush, and we are going to brush that stain over, whoops, looks like I need a little bit more, over the card. So this is kind of like a glaze. So we're going to paint it on, and then we're going to take a paper towel and wipe it off. So all that's going to do, it's kind of like distress. It just kind of creates kind of just a stain, an aged effect. That's what we want. Yep. It looks just like what Mom used to do. Okay, so now we have done antique, and the two left are dry brush and plastering. All right, so I started the dry brush. Let's see if we have enough paint in here. Yeah, we do, to do it again. So I'm just going to dab the paint, or the brush, back into the paint, and sometimes you need to dab it off because there might be too much. And I just have this piece of paper here. I've put a crease in it, and I'm just going to fold that into like a journaling card. And so let's just put some. You can see that this has already been, in the print, they've tried to do some dry brushing. We're just going to kind of do some more of that. So dry brushing and paint smearing is kind of a lot the same. To get the dry brush, you don't want very much paint on there, because if you get too much paint on there, then it's going to be a paint smear. Let me show you how that works. You just take your finger and then you do a smear. And I kind of like that also. That just kind of gives you a little bit of a background texture. Very useful for backgrounds of journaling cards and tags, wherever you need a foundation that helps kind of create a layer, because that's the whole point of this, ladies. It's not meant to just be something cool. It's meant to build up some layers. So all of these things that we've done today are just meant to give you layers, because layers, remember, that's one of the important things that we want to do in shabby style. Okay, so now we need to dry this, and let's again use one of these images. Oh, that pretty lady might be nice. Yeah. Let's put a little piece of torn paper behind it. Yeah. Let's crinkle it up though. But I'm going to put it on, and then I'm going to wrinkle it. Okay, and now let's repeat this butterfly motif. Let's add a butterfly. It's kind of medium to small one here. There we go. I like that. Let's put another distress over there on that edge. Okay, so there's dry brush. Now the last thing is, well, first of all, I need to round these corners. Yeah, add some. Okay, and the last thing is the plaster, which you've done this before. Yeah, it's using some texture paste, and just going to take some of this, and let's use this pretty stencil. And this is on that coffee dyed glassine candy bag, and we're just going to smooth that on. It just goes on kind of like frosting a cupcake. And then carefully peel up the stencil and that leaves the image. This paste is kind of thin, and so sometimes it works better than other times. And the last couple times I've used this, it kind of smears a little bit, but that's really nice. And then I will put a label. I'm going to let this dry carefully because I don't want it to smush any more than it has already. But then I will put a little label right there, and then that will be ready. So let me dry this, and then I'll come back with all of our finished painted techniques. Okay, so now you can see that it's dry, and I think I need to maybe leave the lid off of this and let it dry out a little, because if you want a crisp image with the plaster, then you need to have it be just a little thicker. That was like oozing under the edges of the stencil, and so it made kind of a more sloppy image. But I actually, because the glassine is crinkly, I don't mind that. I think it looks fine. So let me get a label. I think we'll use this one. So we'll put that there, and then we'll wrap it around the back. So okay, my friends, there are 10 different ephemera pieces from 7 different mixed media decorative painting techniques. And I've done them in the Shabby style, and so they can go in the Shabby journal. I hope that was helpful. And we will revisit these again in some of the other styles, I'm pretty sure. And if you want to take a moment to do some homework, you can go online and look up these different painting techniques and see more examples, like I said, with furniture and cabinets and that kind of thing. Painting is an important part of Shabby, and the Shabby chic style is all about beautiful, usually white painting techniques. Thanks for being with me, and I will be back with the cover panel, and then we'll be finished with this journal. We'll see you again.